Streaming now, this is the Wood TV Live Desk.
And good morning, everyone. Phil Penarski here with the News 8 Live Desk. Hope you're having a great start to your Tuesday. An archivist over at the University of Michigan made an incredible discovery earlier this year, a real piece of musical history, and you can read all about it in the latest Sunday story from our very own Matt Jarowski, who joins us now to talk all about this incredible story. Matt, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you as always.
And, we got to start off by just talking about this story. Obviously, the archivist found the original score for one of George Gershwin's earliest musical performances. It's an incredible story that you pieced kind of together, and I guess we really just kind of want to get in and learn all about this story. First things first, though, Matt, who really was George Gershwin? What makes this discovery really so significant?
Yeah, let's start there. So first, for those who don't know, George Gershwin is a very famous American composer. He wrote so many songs. He scored musicals and plays and other things, and wrote so many jazz standards. Even though he lived a relatively short life, he died when he was just 38 from a brain tumor. But so anyway, this score that was found, that was first discovered last August, is his first complete score. It was based off a book called La La Lucille. It had been performed, it was first written in 1919. So he was, I think, 21 at the time when he wrote this, so extremely young. And it was performed a handful of times, but on record, it hadn't been performed since a regional tour in 1926. And it kind of just fell off the map. The Library of Congress had archived a handful of materials, a couple pieces of the piano, and a couple of vocals from the show, but that's all they had. So really, the show was considered lost to time. And that was until this archivist from the University of Michigan stumbled onto it in their work.
And that is just super interesting to know. This real piece of American history and especially music history, as I mentioned earlier. This is a huge discovery. But you mentioned 800 pages. That is obviously a huge thing from this one musical, and this piece of work that Gershwin was working on. But what were some of the things inside these pages that were found by this archivist, and something that really makes this a historical discovery, a really significant one? Obviously It's not just his signature over a bunch of different pages or, just different words. I mean, this is real music that we're seeing here for the first time.
Right. Well, first of all, they now have the show, which was the important thing. And so now it can actually be produced again. The only thing they were missing, I believe, was part of the vocal arrangements for a handful of the songs. But because they now had the music score to go with it, they kind of pieced that back together. Even to the point where, we'll get into this later, but they've since actually performed a couple of those songs at the University of Michigan. But let's fast forward to what they found. More than 700 pages worth of documents. I talked to the archivist who found them while on a research trip at Amherst College out in Massachusetts. And these are original documents with, handwritten notes from George Gershwin. Some of the pages, kind of crumbling on the edges, that's how old and delicate some of these pages are. But a major find by them. And to me, what's most interesting about it is how it was found. So Jacob Kersner is the archivist I spoke to for this story. He's the one who found the piece, more or less. He was actually in Amherst pulling records and researching a different Gershwin play, Of Thee I Sing, which they actually won the Pulitzer Prize for drama for in the 1930s. He was there to research that. He had some spare time in his search, and he noticed that there was a box labeled La La Lucille. And he said, well, I got time, might as well look at it, assuming it only held the things that we already have, the pieces that were in the Library of Congress or that kind of thing, only to uncover this is a big deal. This is the show. We can use this. And so the story, it goes from there, and now they're adding that to the complete works of George Gershwin that the university is going to produce.
So he really found it sort of on accident, just kind of went on a whim and just decided to look through this random box. I mean, you got the chance to speak with the archivist himself. I mean, what was his reaction to really talking about this? I mean, when we think
Right.
about making all these incredible discoveries and the people behind them, but, do they ever really step back and really realize kind of what they've come across?
Right. Yeah, he told me it was kind of funny. He's like, I didn't have a ton to do that day. I was actually going to visit a friend later that day, and I told him I was going to get there early because I thought I was going to be done. And then he finds this, and he's like, "We got to press pause on that. Like, I'm going to be here all day. Like, I'm going to be scanning all these documents to preserve them." And what was also really interesting too is how they were found. So I want to back up. Part of the reason why Kersner and a team at U of M is working on this Gershwin collective is because George and Ira Gershwin didn't have any children of their own, but they did have a great nephew who just so happened to attend the University of Michigan, and that's why the Gershwin family, the Gershwin estate, is working with them to put together this a complete works. So trying to find everything that they've published and written and get it consolidated into one source. So last year they put out the first work, published Rhapsody in Blue, which was one of his biggest pieces. They're working on a VI Sing, and now Lala Lucille is going to be added to that list. But he was told by the team at Amherst uh, they got these files at some point in the 20s and 30s. They don't know exactly when. They found this box in the 80s when they were remodeling part of the archives. They had an old room that had a refrigeration unit in it to help keep the computers cool. When they could take that down, they found a giant bookshelf full of boxes that was holding things. And so they found that, and the archivists, they don't necessarily know what they're looking at or what they're looking for. And that's kind of what Kersner, I think there's a quote in the story, is not to criticize these librarians or these archivists that hold these things, but they're not experts in every topic. They're experts in cataloging things and knowing how to find things, but they don't know the importance of every little item they have. So it was really just until now that they finally discovered what they've had. That's been sitting in the archives at Amherst for probably 90 some years.
Right, no, but now it's finally brought out to the public, which I think is a really great thing, Matt. And you mentioned that the university is working with the Gershwin family to put together this whole collection and really kind of just solidify their lives and all their great works and everything like that. But I mean, where are these works right now? The things that the archivist was able to discover, I mean, where are they right now? And really, what does the university have planned for future, in the future to really commemorate this discovery and the Gershwin family and all that great stuff?
Right. So as for the official records, I can't say where those are. I would assume they stayed at Amherst because that would be their property. But Kersner was able to make scans of all these documents just to obviously kind of help them with their research, but to make sure that that piece of history is located somewhere else as well. So as part of the complete works that they're doing, they're publishing pieces as they can. He said probably 1 to 2 a year. And La La Lucille is now on that list as a project that they plan to tackle to publish. So that will be a really interesting piece when that comes out. He said hopefully sometime next year, or if not 2026. But already we're seeing, some of that stuff put on display. They held a 100th anniversary earlier this February for Rhapsody in Blue. And with the materials they had, the part of the uh, choir ensemble there performed a couple of those songs. So that was the first time those songs have been heard publicly in almost a century.
Well, if they do get around to making La La Lucille into an actual show, I mean, are you planning on heading
Sure.
on out there to check it out?
Oh, of course. I mean, I would love to. It's really cool. And also, first of all, I would encourage you to go read the full story online. It
Right.
kind of walks through Kersner's story and how he finds those things and the big project that UM's embarking on. We also have links. So you can go see those videos, YouTube links to go see those performances. You can learn more about what the musical is about, La Lucille, and why it's such a big deal for these, Gershwin experts to have found this, and even learn more about Gershwin. Obviously, he's a name that people may recognize, but they might not know much about. A lot of really interesting details just for his life and his work inside the story. So I'd encourage people to go check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a great tease to the end of this, Matt. You know, obviously, we touch on every Sunday story here on the live desk and, you know, kind of get a little bit more background. But for the full story, I always encourage everybody to go ahead and head on over to woodtv.com where you can find it. And for everybody watching us on Facebook, I mean, we've made it even easier for you to check it out. We've included links directly to Matt's story in the description box in the comment section below. All you have to do is click that link and you can find out all about George Gershwin, La La Lucille, and the discovery of all of this musical history. Matt, thank you so much for stopping by on the live desk once again. We'll see you next week.
Yep, talk to you soon.
All right, sounds good. I want to thank everybody else for tuning in to this latest edition of the News 8 Live